And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. Artemis II now bound for the moon.
History in the making tonight. 4 astronauts now heading to the moon. The first lunar mission in more than half a century. They're set to travel further from Earth than any human has ever been. Thanks for joining us here at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Tonight we have special coverage of this evening's launch of Artemis II. This is a pivotal moment for deep space exploration as the astronauts begin a 10-day mission to the far side of the moon where no one has ever gone before. And Canada has a significant role. On board the Orion capsule, astronaut Jeremy Hansen, the first Canadian to go beyond Earth's orbit. Paul Hunter has been with us all day for our live coverage on CBC News Network. And what a day it's been, Paul.
Ian, for Jeremy Hansen, for the Canadian Space Agency, and for all the Canadians watching here and at home, it was 100% a sight to behold. What a moment. 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon.
And there they go. Canada's Jeremy Hansen and the 3 U.S. astronauts on board with him lifting off, making history, and headed for the moon. The Artemis II mission, a 10-day slingshot around the moon and back, setting up future flights that'll put humans on the surface of the moon and eventually to Mars.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
Hansen, mission specialist, set to become the first Canadian to ever leave Earth's orbit. He had a message for his fellow Canadians before suiting up.
But Canada, I am thinking of you, and I am hoping that all of you see your greatness reflected in this journey around the moon. I'm just so proud of all of you.
The lead up to the launch was, in a sense, a throwback to the 1960s. Those images seen so often back then when humans last went to the moon. The walkout, the trip to the launch pad, standing at the base of the enormous rocket, the walk across the gangplank, and the strap-in as the countdown clock ticked ever closer. Hansen's maple leaf flag prominently on that shoulder. The trip marks the first time since Apollo 17 in '72 that humans have been back to the moon. It's also the first time anyone has ever flown on this type of rocket. Indeed, it's a test flight for everything, including survivability, bringing inherent risk, extreme excitement, and indeed, in Canada, fierce national pride.
I mean, this is a historic mission for many reasons. First return to the moon since Apollo. But it's very remarkable, I would say, that from the whole world, the one country invited to partake in it is Canadian, so Canada.
In the end, the launch could hardly have gone better. It was picture perfect for this flight into history. Canada with a front row seat on all of it, the Canadian Space Agency already over the moon.
Awe, wonder, joy. I'm excited about the future. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for Jeremy, for Canada's space program, and for the global space community.
Now in orbit, Ian, they'll circle the Earth twice in the next 24 hours, then take that giant leap into deep space and the moon.
And then the mission really begins.
Yeah, I mean, you think this part was a big deal. They'll use the next 24 hours or so to double check just about everything on board, and then they'll fire themselves out of Earth's orbit for the real journey around the moon. They'll go farther from Earth than any humans have ever been. Lift off to splash down in a little over a week, 1 million kilometers. Not bad.
Well, if you want to get excited about space, watch a launch next to this guy. Paul.
It was a privilege to be here.
Yeah, well, it certainly was. Paul Hunter, thank you very much. Now, despite those delays in early February and early March, a lot of people were patiently and enthusiastically waiting for today's launch. Not just for NASA officials, but also those who traveled to Florida to witness it. Karen Pauls spoke to some of them.
We spent the day just around the corner from Spaceview Park on Florida's Space Coast, just across the Indian River from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, about 20 kilometers away. People started arriving here around 6 o'clock to get a prime spot. And despite the wind and rain, that crowd grew all day long. Young people saying they were here to be inspired and witness an historic moment. Motivation to keep studying and keep dreaming. Older folks looking forward to seeing the return of the moon mission. One man almost in tears as he described how long he'd been waiting.
I remember as a child sitting in front of the TV for the Mercury shots. And so this is bucket list. Getting a little emotional.
When the countdown paused, tension. People not sure what was happening. Then almost a palpable sigh of relief when the clock started again. Cheers, chanting when that rocket lifted off and blasted into the sky. Here's some of what people were feeling.
It was exciting. The build-up was great.
I love seeing it. Go Artemis.
I like to see like the rocket go up and then tilt that way. It was really cool.
The first time, you know, in anyone's lifetime that mankind has been that far from Earth, and it's just so amazing to be able to witness that and just to think about the ingenuity of, you know, of our country and Canada, other countries, everyone who had a hand in making this happen.
People cleared out pretty quickly, but for those who stayed, an extra special moment as the moon rose over the Kennedy Space Center. People here saying they felt honored to have witnessed this, and they still can't believe that a crew is heading out there to the moon. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Titusville, Florida.
This mission is a test flight, a crucial step for future space exploration. The 4 astronauts have a packed schedule with much more to be accomplished in the days ahead.
I'll just say it really doesn't get much better than this, and we're making history.
Artemis II is set to be a mission full of firsts and full of lessons. It is, after all, a test flight for all those future missions NASA hopes will follow. Here's how the days after the launch are expected to play out. While Orion is in high Earth orbit, the crew is expected to put the spacecraft through its paces, testing out its maneuverability and function while still relatively close to Earth. Then on day 2, one of those history-making moments. A trans-lunar injection burn should push Orion out of Earth's orbit, making the astronauts the first humans to travel into deep space in more than 50 years. Precision will be key, because this move isn't just setting up the crew's path to the moon, but their way home as well. The journey should take a few days as the crew continues to test out their equipment and spacecraft. Then the moment so many are waiting for. Orion is expected to fly behind the moon, the part you can't see by looking up at the night sky.
The crew is going to spend a day in lunar observation, so they're going to, basically spend the day giving their observations on the far side of the moon, which hasn't been seen. Parts of it hasn't been seen by human eyes before.
The crew is expected to travel further than anyone has ever been from Earth. As Orion slingshots around the moon, it will then be drawn home by the Earth's gravity. As it approaches, the crew module will separate from the spacecraft's service module, which houses the engine, before it enters the Earth's atmosphere at more than 40,000 kilometers an hour. A heat shield should protect it from the blistering temperatures, and a series of parachutes should slow it down before it splashes down in the Pacific.
During this flight, we will learn how the spacecraft behaves. Through our research campaign, we will also learn how we, human beings, behave in that same environment. The combination of these two things will help us optimize our time in future missions.
Artemis II is just one step in a bigger campaign. NASA wants to put humans on the moon again within a couple of years and eventually explore landing on Mars. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he spoke to U.S. President Donald Trump, congratulating him on the successful launch. Carney says they discussed the courage of the astronauts, including that of Canadian Jeremy Hansen, and cooperation in space. The Prime Minister says they also talked about developments in the war in the Middle East, though provided no details. We've got much more from Florida's Kennedy Space Center. Artemis II on its way to the moon, but for now, it's back to you, Adrienne, with tonight's other big story.
Thanks, Ian. That was all fantastic. I can't wait to see what is coming. We have, in the interim, though, been following the televised address by U.S. President Donald Trump on the war in the Middle East. It was Trump's first public address since the war began more than a month ago. He requested time on TV networks across the United States to deliver what many assumed might mark a pivotal update in this war. So let's bring in Katie Nicholson in our Washington bureau. Katie, did his message live up to that expectation?
Hard to see if Americans would be satisfied with what they heard tonight. This was an address that was notable for what Donald Trump didn't say. There was, of course, this expectation there were going to be concrete details about what the next 2 to 3 weeks would be like amid this new buildup of troops and equipment, and there was no new clarity there. He did repeat a lot of the points that he's already made in social media posts and talking to reporters the last few weeks, including some tough words for countries reliant on the oil that normally flows through the Strait of Hormuz. Those words tonight almost verbatim from a post that he made earlier this week that raised some eyebrows. Just listen to this.
So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before, should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the strait and just take it, protect it.
Trump also suggested that the strait would just open naturally. He also touted what he saw as big wins for the U.S. in this conflict. He said that they had decimated the Iranian Navy and missile capabilities, though, of course, there have been many strikes today on Israel and neighboring Gulf nations. It was strange, Adrienne, just listening to this type of address at this juncture in the war, trying to essentially make a sale on prime time more than a month after it began, because it is so deeply unpopular across weeks of polling that we're seeing. That also is on top of the fact that there was no attempt before this conflict to sell this to Congress or to the American people. So again, hard to say if what we heard tonight is going to convince them.
And Katie, as you predicted, Trump expressed his frustration with allies, NATO allies, but it was more muted than I think some might have expected.
Yeah, some NATO allies had been working the phones today. For example, the president of Finland publicly stated that he had encouraged the president to sort of talk out their frustrations with NATO. And we know that the NATO Secretary General is coming to meet with Trump next week. Mark Rutte is a bit of a Trump whisperer. He may also tamp down some of Trump's anger at NATO for not stepping in. And there was also swift bipartisan reaction here in Washington to Trump's latest missives about how he might leave NATO. Senators and representatives all issuing stern statements today that this is not something they will allow to happen.
All right, thank you. That is Katie Nicholson in Washington tonight. So the attacks inside Iran by both U.S. and Israeli military forces have been met with strikes from Iran and its proxies in the Gulf states and in Israel. So there is huge interest across the region in Trump's message. Sasha Petrusik is in Jerusalem. Sasha, can we start with Israel? What's your sense of how it might receive Trump's message?
Yeah, there's a lot at stake here. Just today was one of the worst days in terms of barrages of ballistic missiles coming from Iran and rockets coming from Hezbollah in the north. So people are very much watching where this war is going to go. I think they were looking for not just details on how long it's going to last, but how long the United States is going to be involved in it. They want to see whether the U.S. is reliable, whether it has staying power. It was seen as a huge accomplishment here to get the U.S. involved against Iran. It's something that Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been pushing for a long time. These kinds of attacks this kind of obliteration, in Trump's words, of the nuclear program and other things. And I'm not sure that they got that information, what they were actually looking for, because over the past few weeks, a lot of people have been thinking more and more that Israel is going to be left alone in fighting this battle because they don't think that Iran is going to be pulling back anytime soon.
And Sasha, among the Gulf states, how will this message potentially land?
I'm not sure that they will be especially mollified by this. This has not only shown how vulnerable they are to Iran, but they're also worried that this has given Iran more information about where the choke points are, where the pain points are, how they can close the Strait of Hormuz and affect the world economy in a very real way, and where these Gulf states are vulnerable. Trump did try to calm things down a little bit. He had something to say, basically saying, we will protect you to the Gulf states. This is what he had.
We are going to finish the job, and we're going to finish it very fast. We're getting very close. I want to thank our allies in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. They've been great, and we will not let them get hurt or fail in any way, shape, or form.
So the message from them is, I think, that they will try to want this wrapped up, but in a way that Iran is not threatening them anymore. And the messages from Iran that we're getting these days has been much more defiant, which may be why we did not hear Trump boast very much about how he's getting pleas for a ceasefire or for negotiations from Tehran these days.
All right, thank you. That is Sasha Petrusek in Jerusalem. So let's bring in political analyst Janice Stein again now with more analysis of Trump's address tonight. Janice, what is it that stood out the most for you? Is it what was said? Is it what wasn't said? Is it the language used?
It was, frankly, how little of what he said was new. That was the first thing. The second was this veiled threat that he used against Iran, which has to worry Iranian decision makers to some extent, Adrienne. Yes, attacking Cargo Island would, reduce the global supply of oil, but it would be a mortal blow to the Iranians. There's no question about it. But it's a very, very dangerous thing to do because it would lead to a series of reprisals against the energy infrastructure of all the Gulf states. So in that sense, it's almost a poison pill. And yet that's the best that Donald Trump could come up with. If I were Iranian decision makers listening tonight, and I can assure you they were and they are, I would take away from this speech, wake this president out. He doesn't have the muscle to see this through to the end, despite all the rhetoric we heard tonight.
When you say doesn't have the muscle to see it through, what about, does he have the support to see it through? Because it seems that public appetite for another long war is very low in the United States. Did that factor into what he had to say or why he chose today to say it?
But, there's no doubt about that, Adrienne. This is a pre-election season, and those midterms loom very large. Donald Trump has said himself, we cannot lose these elections. I know what will come after if we lose control of one of the houses. So that is the driving imperative for him right now. But he started this. This was a war of choice, frankly. And to expect that a war can be over in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and that he alone can decide when it will be over, is so uninformed about history, so devoid of any sophistication, and so filled with hubris that it is frankly jaw-dropping, Adrienne. I think about American voters and they watch a speech like this. And I'm sure there are some who are asking themselves, even some who are sympathetic to the agenda that he was elected on, how do we find ourselves here? This is not what he ran on.
And when the U.S. president says that the Strait of Hormuz, when this is over, will open naturally, and that those who rely on the strait should find some delayed courage and go get the oil. Yeah. If you're a country that relies on that strait, what do you do right now?
Well, you're going to pay tolls, Adrienne. It is going to open, but there are going to be significant tolls. The Iranian numbers were very large. And what does that really say about the future? The market adjusts. If the Iranians begin to charge the kinds of steep tolls that they are talking about, investors and buyers will find alternative ways of meeting their energy needs. It's 20% of the world's energy, but there are energy exporters who could sell more into global markets. So yes, there will be a shock, and yes, there will be a need to build the infrastructure to transport oil differently, but the market adjusts. It did after the first big oil shock, and it will adjust after this one as well. It just is very, very costly to consumers.
I have about 20 seconds left. I'm just curious, what are Canadians in for in the next few weeks?
So we are in for higher prices. We are in for some inflation. We are in for uncertain markets. But Adrienne, we are fertilizer producers. They come from our prairie. Fertilizer is a huge export from the prairie provinces. We are energy producers. So you could argue, if you're Canada, this could be a moment.
Interesting. All right. We will see. Janice Stein, as always, thank you very much.
That's such a pleasure.
In a major constitutional challenge, the U.S. Supreme Court is now weighing whether Donald Trump can restrict birthright citizenship.
Justice will prevail.
Protesters gathered outside the court in Washington as Trump made a rare appearance to listen to the arguments in person. The administration wants to overturn decades of precedent that anyone born in the U.S. is automatically a citizen. A decision is expected by the end of June.
More ahead from Kennedy Space Center here in Florida. On the day of this historic launch featuring a Canadian astronaut, how people in Canada are watching and cheering on the mission back at home. Next.
Ten, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon.
An exhilarating start for the Artemis II mission. Spectators gathering near the site here in Florida to watch the historic launch. And Canadians, of course, also gathered to watch the spectacle. Yasmin Khanea shows us the scene in Vancouver at the H.R. MacMillan Space Center.
3, 2, 1.
From the West Coast, all eyes on Florida's Space Coast.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
Hundreds of people of all ages packed into Vancouver's H.R. MacMillan Space Center to witness history. For the first time, a Canadian, Jeremy Hansen, heading beyond the Earth's orbit.
Zoom, 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 we're finally going to the moon. Lost for words. We all took the day off today and we're here.
There were some nerves as the crowd anxiously awaited a smooth launch. Then, during liftoff, goosebumps.
It's really a proud moment for the whole human history and for Canadians.
Also, Artemis is going to be a really major stepping stone for representation in space. So previously, the only people who have ever been to the moon are men. They were all American and they were all white.
In a mission full of firsts, the first woman, person of color, and Canadian to travel beyond low Earth orbit, excitement about what it all means for future generations. Would you ever want to go into deep space?
Possibly, yes.
Oh. Okay, here you go. I would be really happy for him to be, exploratory for, further space missions.
NASA hopes this multi-billion-dollar mission will lay the groundwork for future flights to the surface of the moon and eventually Mars.
We know that we have some tensions in the relationship now, but we've had them in the past. We'll have them again in the future. That doesn't stop great cooperation from going forward, not just with Canada, but with all of our international partners.
If all goes well, the Artemis II crew will fly past the moon in 6 days' time. Canadians will be closely watching, excited to know that for this country, this is just the beginning. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Yesterday, Prime Minister Mark Carney had a video call with Jeremy Hansen and his backup, fellow Canadian astronaut Jenny Gibbons. Let's listen to a bit of that.
What are you doing tomorrow, Jeremy?
Just another day here too, sir. We set huge goals for humanity. When you set these big goals, people are like, okay, I buy into that.
I love it. I love it. That's it. I mean, it's exactly right. I know you're on a mission. Listen, Godspeed.
First non-American to go to deep space.
Hansen will be the first non-American ever to venture beyond Earth's orbit. Now, before Jeremy Hansen, the last Canadian in space was David Saint-Jacques. He spent more than 200 days on board the International Space Station, and he watched today's launch from the Canadian Space Agency's headquarters. Earlier this evening, I spoke to him about what he's feeling about his friend's historic mission. You are in that long line of very impressive people who are Canadian astronauts, and I got to ask you, I know you're a friend of Jeremy's, I know you worked with him for a long time. How did you feel watching the launch today?
I've been knowing Jeremy for 18 years now. I'm so proud of him. He's the perfect guy for this mission. He represents so much of great Canadian values. It's just a steadfast, reliable, strong, quiet force. It's exactly what they need in that capsule to go in the unknown on our behalf collectively.
David, there are probably, I'm sure there are young people who watched the launch, who are watching now, who are thinking to themselves, as you say, they're part of this Artemis generation, and some of them will seriously try to go where Jeremy is going now, where you've gone before, and that is space travel. And so, I think about the resumes that astronauts have. You're a physician and have a lot of other skills. Jeremy's a fighter pilot. What do you say to a young person looking now who one day wants to wear that blue suit or orange suit and be a Canadian astronaut?
So as you said, astronauts are kind of jacks of all trades. Jeremy was my first flight instructor, and I was his basic instructor for medical procedures. We all come to this trade with different backgrounds. There is no recipe. The only recipe is you have to be really good at whatever it is that you choose as a career path. And the only way to be really good at something, as you know, is to love it. That's where you found the energies inside you. So listen to your heart, listen to your dreams, and throw yourself into some career you love. You also need to respect your body. Astronauts have to be robust. Whatever your dream is, you need your body to accomplish it, right? So respect your body. And finally, say this to young people, it's never too early to start developing the astronaut mentality. And that means you need to be considered to be trustworthy. That really is at the core of the profession. That you're going to be not perfect, everybody makes mistakes, but you're trustworthy. You're going to fess up if you do make a mistake. And you're going to be part of the solution, always part of the solution, and be respected as a trustworthy crew member.
In a cynical world, that is a great message, David. It was a pleasure interviewing you a few years ago in Houston, and thank you very much for connecting with us today.
Thanks for the call. Bye-bye. Enjoy. Godspeed, Artemis.
Well, back here in Canada, we're following some other stories, including Ottawa's gun buyback program.
I've talked to many people, talked to my MP, and here I am, the day after the program ended, and still no success.
why the program may not be hitting its own targets so far. Plus,
it is highly unlikely that we will land on the moon before China.
the future of the Artemis program and the new space race driving it. There was another turn today in the sexual assault trial of businessman Frank Stronach. The presiding judge said the testimony from one of his accusers is completely unreliable, and Stronach can't be found guilty of the two related charges. Stronach still faces 5 counts related to 3 other female complainants. He's pleaded not guilty to all charges. Well, Ottawa's gun buyback program compensation window is now closed. So those who haven't declared and are still in possession of the banned assault-style weapons have until October the 30th to get rid of them or risk being charged. Ashley Burke shows why some say the government made it hard to comply, even for those who wanted to.
Hello, I'm calling to follow up on my case for returning a firearm.
David Hicks says he picked up the phone on day 1 to take part in the government's gun buyback program. But more than 2 months later, still no luck.
It just seems preposterous. They set up the program, they want to take these things off the street, and here I am, willing, able, wanting to participate. I've tried many times, I've talked to many people, talked to my MP, and here I am, the day after the program ended, and still no success.
Hicks says he's struggling to turn in this banned AR-style rifle he inherited from his father. But executors of estates can't use the program's online portal, so Hicks says he was told to request a paper form over the phone.
Eventually someone did contact me and said that they would send me some paperwork to fill in to presumably register for the program. That was over a month ago, nothing's arrived.
The government says Canadians declared more than 67,000 banned assault-style firearms by the March 31st deadline. That's about half of the 136,000 firearms the government budgeted to buy back from owners.
So there's obviously a gap there.
It's far better than some would have thought.
Liberal MP Nathalie Provost survived École Polytechnique and fought for gun control. She says the spread of disinformation hurt the program's uptake.
The gun lobby and the conservative, they just created more confusion.
It's sort of typical for the Liberals to blame everybody but themselves for their failed programs.
The gun lobby and conservatives who oppose the program pushing back.
They're attacking licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested farmers, hunters, and sport shooters.
The government says anyone who's not part of this program and is still in possession of one of these banned firearms has until October 30th to dispose or deactivate it at their own expense. If not, they could face criminal charges. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Canadians accessing primary care through nurse practitioners should no longer have to pay out of pocket. Ottawa says that effective today, that cost should be covered by the provinces. But as Christine Birak shows us, not all of them are on board.
For anyone seeing a nurse practitioner in Canada, here's the bottom line.
Patients will no longer have to pay out of pocket for primary health care services.
Canada's health minister gave provinces a deadline last year. Start publicly covering nurse practitioners and others who offer care similar to family doctors by April 1st.
You can probably see the smile on my face, like it's such a stress relief. Have you had any side effects or anything?
This nurse practitioner runs a private clinic in St. John's. He says his main goal is to provide care.
It's good. Blood pressure pill seems to be working. People shouldn't have to be restricted if they can afford it.
Yvette Jarvis says she spent roughly $2,500 over 5 years on visits to nurse practitioner clinics.
They gave me the exact same care that I would normally get from a family physician. So I feel like we shouldn't have to pay the $75 and it should be covered.
While patients in Newfoundland and other provinces will no longer pay out of pocket, there are exceptions, including Ontario, which isn't ready, but states it has over a year before the federal government begins charging penalties for charging patients. Provinces often say they don't receive enough healthcare dollars from Ottawa, but some argue there's a deeper problem.
They seem to have the sense of urgency about not having the funds, but they're not actually implementing new models of care that could actually help them save funds.
She says if it's $100 to see a doctor, but only $75 for a nurse practitioner to handle the same problem, money can be saved.
We as taxpayers want our dollars to be spent in the right places at the right value, and we are not spending it in the right places at the right value.
The college representing family doctors says Canada needs a strong, publicly funded health system that provides team-based care close to home. But they emphasize family doctors are not interchangeable. They are uniquely trained and trusted to deal with serious health concerns. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Here in Florida, a landmark day in space exploration with the successful launch of the Artemis II mission. In many ways, this could be just the beginning.
Integrity, AMT high.
Coming up, the full ambition of Artemis and the race to beat China to the surface of the moon. That's next.
On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go.
Integrity, GPS processing.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
It could be a pivotal moment for humanity. The successful launch of Artemis II, carrying 4 astronauts, including Canada's Jeremy Hansen, on a journey around the moon and back. Artemis II is just part of NASA's accelerated program to return astronauts to the surface of the moon. In 2028, they're expected to do that before China plants its own flag there. Eli Glasner breaks down the politics of this new space race.
Artemis II is just the start of a new race to the moon between the U.S.
We find ourselves with a real geopolitical rival challenging American leadership in the high ground of space.
And China.
You can bet that they will move literally heaven and earth to make sure that Chinese boots leave an impression on the lunar surface.
But already there are big questions, like, is it really about beating China or scoring political points? And is it even realistic?
I don't expect this to happen by 2028.
So let's back up and look at how we got here. Last September, at a U.S. Senate committee looking at the space race, Jim Bridenstine, the former NASA administrator, rang the alarm bell.
It is highly unlikely that we will land on the moon before China.
Soon after, the Secretary of Transportation began publicly criticizing SpaceX, the company contracted to build the next lunar lander.
The problem is they're behind. They pushed their timelines out, and we're in a race against China. The president and I want to get to the moon in this president's term.
Then NASA announced their new accelerated plan.
This is the moment we reject the status quo, challenge what is broken, embrace what worked on July 20th, 1969.
Out plans for Gateway, the lunar space station, in a streamlined, simplified program to get back to the moon in 2 years.
NASA has stated we will return Americans to the moon before the end of President Trump's term. Our great competitor said before 2030. The difference between success and failure will be measured in months, not years.
You can kind of think of the conceptual shift as, instead of focusing in the space around the moon, the goal now is firmly focused on the surface of the moon and getting out.
Longtime NASA watcher Casey Dreyer is the chief of space policy at the Planetary Society.
The major part of this is using China as a foil. It's clearly the second most capable nation in the world in terms of launching things and people into space. They've had a goal for a number of years now to land their astronauts on the surface of the moon, to build out a lunar base with Russia, Pakistan, and a handful of other countries. And it's one of those things that is driving kind of a almost throwback desire to have another space race.
Well, that and one other thing.
The goals of landing in 2028. It is the last year of President Trump's second term, and there is a strong desire by the White House to have this occurred under President Trump.
Okay, so back to China and the clock. NASA wants to be on the moon in 2 years. What does that look like? First step, Artemis II, which is now underway, a test flight of the Orion spacecraft where the crew of 4 will orbit the moon. Next, Artemis III, all about testing the integration of the Orion spacecraft and the new lunar lander, which is still being built. Finally, Artemis IV, by early 2028, return to the moon, stay for a week, and begin the steps for a sustained presence at the lunar South Pole. Now, to put things in perspective, in 8 years, the Apollo program went from the first American in space to
one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
But NASA today is nothing like the NASA of the 1960s.
At its peak, Apollo was spending $42 billion a year, $43 billion a year. NASA's entire budget last year was $25 billion.
To save money, NASA is depending heavily on private industry. To bring the first Americans back to the moon, they'll need a new lunar lander, the craft that goes down to the surface of the moon and returns. So who's going to build that? Well, that's another race.
The intent is to fly with whichever provider is ready first for 2027.
Welcome to the battle of the billionaires. In one corner, Elon Musk's SpaceX and their lunar lander Starship. In the other, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin's Blue Moon landing vehicle, both racing to be ready for 2027.
So this is Apollo on the cheap, but with more ambition. So we've turned over a lot of control to these companies, and hopefully they'll deliver. If Jeff Bezos wanted to tomorrow, he could shut down Blue Origin and walk away from this entire thing. I'm not saying he will, or that's even likely, but it is a lot of power to imbue in a handful of individuals in order to, again, to achieve what is nominally a national goal.
And while some, like Canadian space industry researcher Kevin Olson, say with NASA working with a host of other countries, including Canada, it doesn't matter who gets to the moon first.
It's not so much a race anymore because the Americans will have always been first. And it's an inevitability that both groups will be there. It's something bigger than that. And it's something that we are going to try to figure out what to do with it.
We're here to stay.
But Dean Chang, an expert on Chinese space policy, says whether it's returning to the moon or China's first time, the race is on because the country that arrives gets to pick the location.
The long-term commitment that the Chinese have said they want to do is to establish a presence at the lunar South Pole, which is where the water is.
And sets a precedent.
If there are constant Chinese missions and rare American missions, what makes you think the language of space travel will be English? And here it's not just the literal language like we're talking, it's data formats, it's data standards.
It might seem like the stuff of science fiction, but for both the US and China, the moon is just a step to even grander plans.
The goal is not flags and footprints. This time, the goal is to stay.
With both countries looking at the moon as a springboard for interplanetary exploration, Cheng says the new space race isn't a sprint, but a marathon.
The single thing that truly gives China the advantage is that they think in the long term. We've had literally dozens of back to the moon and off to Mars thoughts, studies, profiles, blue ribbon panels. The Chinese, their effort is one that spans a good 30 years as of now.
While the race begins, in the midst of ongoing international tension, Casey Dreyer sees space exploration as something with the potential to unite us.
There's the whole side of this that is the scientific exploration as a fundamental motivator, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of knowing because we say, oh, what's that weird thing in the sky? Well, we can build a thing and let's go there and look. That's an astonishing thing that we can do, and it's frankly precious and worth supporting.
It will be fascinating to watch it all play out. After Artemis, the next Canadian in space is expected to be Joshua Kutrick, heading to the International Space Station. When we come back, a final thought on Artemis.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff.
The moments that captured the attention of the world. Next. If you get a chance to see the moon tonight, maybe take a moment to think about Jeremy Hansen and his 3 crewmates as they prepare to see the far side of the moon in a way humans have never seen it before. It has been an exhilarating day here at the Kennedy Space Center, an incredible start to the Artemis II mission. As we leave you now, let's take another look at that powerful and awe-inspiring launch. I'm Ian Hannah-Mansing in Florida. Good night.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
We see the tail aboard, Stan.
And Houston has you loud and clear on TDRS at the Kármán line.
Outstanding, Stan. We have you the same.